So, we're going to go into the operating room right now, a little operating room that we created for ourselves here in Boston, and we tried to make it as realistic for you as possible. We recorded this in advance.
Good job, everybody. I'm on the skin now, so we should be done in a few
minutes. We jumped all the way to the end. Don't want to go there. So we're going to start at the beginning. We're going to start at the beginning of the patient first going into the operating room, and then we're going to listen in on this team, and you're going to hear me coach them just a little bit. At the end of each section, we're going to give you a little poll where you can help me out a little bit. And then I want you to keep this in mind as we go along. At the very end, I'm going to ask you to grade me and tell me what kind of a coach you think I was. And don't want you to hold back. Let me know what you really think, because this whole demonstration wasn't perfect. It wasn't intended to be. Even coaches need coaching, so you can help me out as you listen to all the pieces. So this is the before induction of anesthesia part of the checklist, and we put the checklist up there in front of you for those of you who have access to the computer piece of this, so you can kind of follow along and see how this team does. So here we go.
Okay, Ms. Johnson, we're in the operating room now. We're going to take good care of you here. We're going to do our sign-in procedure first, and we're going to talk a little shop and talk about you in the third session. But if you notice anything wrong or want to add anything, then please feel free to speak up. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Dr. Ariaga, are you ready to do the sign-in?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Perfect. Okay, so we have Betsy Johnson here. Date of birth is May 14th, 1950, with an MRN of 54621. So you're doing a right open hemicolectomy. She does have an allergy to penicillin. The site is marked. Dr. Ariaga, is the safety check done?
Yeah, the safety check has been completed, and she doesn't have any anticipated airway or aspiration risk. Should be straightforward anesthesia induction. No risk of significant blood loss. She does have a risk of hypothermia, so we put a warmer in place. So we did put the venous compressions on, but I actually don't know if he likes sub-Q heparin. Do you happen to know? Maybe the PA knows. Do you know if he likes sub-Q heparin?
You know what? It's like my first.
Yeah, never mind. She's got the boots on. We need to get going. Okay, Betsy, you're going to feel a little bit of burning and then off to sleep, okay?
Okay.
So now that she's asleep, and before you guys go any further, one of the things that I saw at the end of your sign-in was that you talked a little bit about giving sub-Q heparin, but how are you going to remember to talk to Dr. Wang about it?
Yeah, I think we made a mental note, but there's really no good way. I suppose we could take him now and just ask him. Or, I can write it on the whiteboard. I can do that, and then we can all remember.
Yeah, I think putting it on the whiteboard is a great idea, and that way we can all help you.
Okay, I'll do that right now.
So we've been induced, prepped and drinked for a good 15 minutes now.
All right, so we'll stop right there. And I'm going to ask you some polling questions here. I want to ask you how you would have coached the team to remember the heparin. And I want you to think, was that even an appropriate thing for me to talk to them about when that was going on? I don't have a way for you to answer that question, and maybe you can give me feedback at the end. But I think there were some options here, and they discussed some of them. Write it on a sticky note. Use your memory to remember it. Write it on the whiteboard or page the surgeon right away. And you can see someplace on your screen the poll. You can click more than one box, actually, if you want, and I'll give you a couple minutes to go ahead and give me a little bit of feedback. All right, so let's see. This overwhelming support for the whiteboard, which I think is a great idea too, and clearly that's where we got them to in the coaching. So I think that's absolutely great. The next part of the surgical safety checklist is the part that is where the Joint Commission Universal Protocol timeout is usually performed. And let's listen to the team now run together through their timeout. So here we go.
So we've been induced prepped and draped for a good 15 minutes now. You know, they gave us such a hard time about getting the patient a remote time and how we start.
We were here to.
And then we're just waiting for the surgeon.
You know, why
Do you know what he is?
I don't know. If you could take it, that'd be great.
Good morning. Sorry, traffic is late. Hey, Alex, Judy, how are you guys doing?
Morning, how are you?
We're all ready to go.
Great. And Becky, you ready to go? First day?
Yep, ready to go.
Fabulous. All right. So let's see. We got Ms. Johnson here. Can we do the timeout now?
Please.
All right. So we got Betsy Johnson, date of birth May 14, 1950. We're going to do a right hemi, a surgical site to the abdomen. She is fine. And we got the CT up. Great. And have we gotten antibiotics yet?
So the clinician, do you want it all to get plasma?
Sure. I think that sounds like a great idea.
Okay, the plasma's going in.
Okay.
And then we actually I see here on the whiteboard, do you want the patient to get a sub-Q heparin?
I think that's a great idea. Go ahead.
Okay. All right, 5,000 sub-Q going in.
All right, let's see, where were we? Okay, yes, so we are doing right hemi. I think it's going to be uncomplicated, no problem. She hasn't had any surgery before. The case is going to take about an hour and a half. Blood loss should be minimal, and we have my usual setup.
Yes.
Great. I think it's your turn out.
So yeah, the straightforward intubation, no anticipated anesthetic issues.
I don't have any concerns with sterility, and I don't have any equipment issues. We have everything that we need.
Great. Anybody got any concerns? Speak up now or forever hold your peace. All right, let's go. Scalpel, please.
All right, so they walked through their timeout together with brilliant ending there by the surgeon, with everyone forever holding their peace. We can talk about that a little bit in a minute. But I have a polling question that actually focuses right on that, and that is, as the coach, now you're standing there and you've heard the surgeon say, speak now or forever hold your peace, which I think in the context of a wedding anyway would mean this is your last shot or shut up. And don't think that that's what we have in mind when we want the surgeon to open the room to input for the rest of the case. If anybody in the room sees something going on or believes there's a safety issue, we want the surgeon to encourage them to speak up. So we've heard the surgeon now, speak now or forever hold your peace. And I have three different responses for you there. I'm sure there's many more than the three, but perhaps you can help me out and pick one of these three in the poll. It was okay for the surgeon to say that. I shouldn't say anything. It's not okay for the surgeon to say that, and I should talk to the surgeon about this right now. And finally, it's not okay for the surgeon to say that, and I will speak to him alone sometime after the case one-on-one. So I'll give you about a minute or so to click on the poll for me, and we'll see what that says. Okay, so we've got plenty of answers here, and it's kind of scattered around a little bit, but I think that most people think that that probably isn't an okay thing for the surgeon to say, and I tend to agree. But also, this is one of those times when we need to think about who we're coaching and where is the appropriate place to do the coaching. Because this probably isn't the appropriate place to give the surgeon feedback. The most appropriate thing to do in this circumstance is most likely to talk to the surgeon by themselves. Since this is a part of performance, it really is, it's kind of owned by an individual. It's what he did, not what the team did now. It wasn't how the team decided to handle the heparin. It was way more about what the surgeon decided to say. And even though the surgeon may have been joking, it probably worthwhile to talk to the surgeon later about exactly what it was that they said and whether they really mean that or not, and maybe to suggest that the idea is to open the room up and encourage people to have input rather than to stand there like at a wedding in absolute silence. So, we have one more piece, and what I'm going to show you in this last piece I think is very realistic. So let's drop in with our friends again in the operating room and see exactly how they do this last part.
All right, good job, everybody. I want to sit now, so we should be done in a few minutes. Becky, you feel comfortable closing up? Sure. All right, and we got all our counts and everything before we close up?
Yes, we've done them twice, and it looks correct.
Great. Okay.
Okay, before everybody leaves, it'd probably be worthwhile to take a minute and reflect just a little bit as a team on what we did with surgical safety checklist during the case. And I noticed a couple of things. One of the things was that at the beginning, the introduction, I noticed the introductions, you guys didn't do those, and I was wondering why.
Everyone knows everybody here, right?
It's funny you mentioned that. I don't know your PA. You're new here, right?
Yeah.
I'll start on that staff anesthesiology.
Thank you. So I'm Judy. I'm with the Pennsylvania Group. Good to meet you.
I apologize. It's my fault. Not everybody knew each other.
Yeah, well, I think it's one of the things that's really important to set the tone at the beginning. Even if we all know each other, it's probably go around and at least recognize each other's presence before we start the case here. The other thing, and a lot of teams have trouble with this, I noticed that you missed the last part of the checklist, the debriefing part.
Yeah, that happens a lot. I did do the count, the sponge and the needle count. And it just seems that everyone is always so busy at the end of the case that I never really feel like I can interject and have people just for a moment do that debriefing part. And I've seen it happen on multiple occasions with other colleagues as well. It's just hard to get everyone to stop when everyone's so excited to be done.
Yeah, it's something that we see teams struggle with a lot, and I think that by trying to make it a habit, then when we read out the formal sponge count at the very end, we use that as a trigger for everybody to take just a 30-second pause to go ahead and do the debriefing portion of the timeout. That is the way to make sure that that very important part actually gets done.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll definitely do that the next time. That's a great thought.
Okay, great. So we're going to leave our team, and again, I have a little poll, and I can be critical of myself, I guess, but I'm going to wait for you to be a little critical of me, and ask you to tell me what you think of my coaching, and think about the whole thing. So you can give me a grade there, and we'll see what my grade is, and then would you have done anything differently? Now I'm going to have to give you the feedback from whatever you type in there next week, or actually 2 weeks from now. when we get together, because we're going to take a week off next week. But 2 weeks from now, I'll give you the feedback if people do type in some suggestions about how I might have improved my performance. So I'll give you a minute or so here to give me a grade, and we'll see how I came out. Okay, Jim, how'd I do?
Just one more second, Bill. Waiting for a couple people to finish up.
Okay. Oh, people probably writing a book.
Suggestions.
That's what I get. Ooh, I got good grades. I passed anyway. I didn't get anything below a C. Some people thought I was a really good coach. Some people thought I was above average, and other people thought I was an average coach, which is great. I don't know how I would have graded myself. I think I'll have to think about that a little bit more. But I did. I clearly didn't do something that I should have done at the end, and that was to tell the team what a great job that they did overall, because they did a very good job, and the surgeon actually kind of congratulated his team at the end for doing a good job in helping get the operation done for the patient. And I should have probably done the same thing for the team around how they did the checklist. When we were on mute here a minute ago, one of the things we were talking about was the coach's role as a motivator. And there's no question, we certainly see that in sports, but also in the rest of life, that probably one of the most important jobs isn't to criticize, because we want to stay away from that, but it is to motivate and to make people interested in improving their own performance. So thank you for coming with me to the operating room here in Boston, and I hope you enjoyed our little trip there.